11. Muzyczka się włączyła. Za chwilę wracają. Mam sobie pozwolę zobaczyć. Dobrze, tutaj nic nie ma, moderacja ewidentnie moja jeszcze dzisiaj śpi, a to jest normalne. To nie dam im spać. Ja nie chcę, to oni też nie mogą spać. Tak. Ja wiem, że to dziwnie zabrzmi, ale muszę o to spytać, czy ty już jesteś odpalony? Dobrze. Nie, bo wiesz, żeby kamerkę opyk, przechwycić, hop, jest kamerka. O, cosplaye.
And welcome back to the final segment of the Australian and New Zealand portion of QuakeCon at home as part of day 2. We are here with Kim, joining from before. Kim, how are you feeling?
Good. I hope everyone enjoyed our last cooking stream and don't judge me too heavily.
Our totally not live cooking stream. And and we are here with 5 Nov Creations, also known as Doug Ma. Doug, I when we got the initial idea, like the pitch to say, hey, you know, you're going to get a bunch of stream segments for QuakeCon, I told you before that you were one of the first people that I thought of to try and get you on, because just look at the setup you have, man. We're going to get into all of that stuff behind you in a second, but please, you know, let us know who you are, who's also there with you as well, and explain what you do to the chat.
Well, look, thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated for having me on the stream. Look, I said Doug Ma's my name. Go by the name 5 Nov Creations, 5 NOV Creations. This here is my son, Jackson.
I am ISO 2.0, and I help my dad make all this cool stuff.
He's the apprentice.
Find the hobby.
Absolutely.
And look, it's a hobby. It's a hobby that I get to do to hang out with my bro and just
for sure. And you're rocking the QuakeCon shirt too, Jackson. So I'm very happy about that.
We're impressed. We love it.
So yeah, obviously, like to those of you that are watching right now, and you can see what's in the background there, you have just an array of amazing creations and different cosplays from the Fallout universe, and we really want to kind of delve into that in a little bit, figure out the method behind the madness. So we have a bunch of questions that, you know, we'd love to ask you as part of this interview, and then you can show us different things whenever you want, so feel free to. So you are in your garage, and I would say that this is where the magic happens. So can you kind of describe some of the stuff that you have in the background to the chat that's watching right now?
Yeah, look, I think it's not until I do something like this do I realise exactly how much I've actually built.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get a little bit carried away. So over here we've got the power armor, the T51 power armor in the power armor frame. Over here we've got an array of T51 helmets. There's some Raider armor over here, Deathclaw skulls, weapons all along the
głowa dodatkowa. A w pancerzu możesz chodzić, nie?
Multitude of different weapons and the like.
And that power armor is wearable, right? You can actually walk around in it.
Yes. Yeah, 100% wearable.
Insane.
So with the power armor itself, there's Jackson's got a matching one, which he has now grown out of because he was... how old were you when
He's almost taller than me now, Doug.
Yeah, I was 11 when we first made the Vim armor for me.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
So he was 11 years old, and so we had... And the funny thing was, in the Vim armor, he was like 6 foot high at 11 years old. It was just so funny. And now he's like 13 and he's nearly 6 foot high. So,
Także jesteśmy teraz
up to the next one, I'll build a hot rod shark power armor that he can wear.
na cosplaya.
That's awesome.
So,
And
it's
like,
cool, but it's good fun.
Yeah, and we definitely want to get into
Tak jak
to the
powiedzieli,
reasons why
ten
you actually
power
make
armor
these
można
creations, but you know, I'm sure
nosić.
as well, Kim, you have a bunch of questions that you'd like to ask Doug as well. So I don't want to take it all.
No, well, look, my
Zajebiste.
big thing is I just love the donut in the background. That has just been my favorite thing that you have done. It just, okay, I know, I'm a foodie, I'm a big foodie, and it's just stunning. It looks so cool. Like, can we all
Slocum
appreciate
Joe
the donut?
Porfist.
Like, it looks edible. But that's probably one of my favorite things. Look at that. It's
Doug,
so incredible.
you want to go into that a little bit? Like, for those that aren't actually acquainted with like the Fallout universe, what do you have there? What did you make?
Okay, so what I had was it was the Power Fist, so the Chronicle Collectibles Power Fist that came out, and I like modding up weapons, and I think part of one of the beauties of the Fallout universe is that you can make something from anything, and it's not ridiculous, because if you can walk around with a shoulder-mounted thermonuclear weapon, then a power fist with a donut on the end isn't very much of a stretch of the imagination.
It makes it more powerful, if anything.
Okay.
100%.
Well, yes, it does, and it just is very Homer Simpson, hungry, tasty, Slocum's Joe. So
It's so cool, man.
But look, you're going to be hungry when you get punched in the face.
And what's the
I mean, who's
process?
gonna mind?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the process that goes behind creating something like that? Like, do you 3D print your works? Do you make them from scratch? Like, you were telling me before that you can just make stuff from junk in your garage. So let us know what goes behind creating something like that.
Well, look, it depends. I use a multitude of different techniques to be able to build my stuff. And in this instance here, the donut was 3D printed. When we look at
Taką damską rękawiczkę fajną zrobi. Sam raz na imprezę, nikt ci nie spostrzeże. O, shish kebab. Ale działa ten shish kebab? Się podpala, czy nie?
So just random stuff you had at home.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bodzirej.
And you can just
Nie. Chyba nie.
paint on it and
Yeah.
Pomimo tego, że jest robione jakby z prawdziwych części, nie?
The luxuries of the Fallout universe weapons as well is the fact that if you do make a mistake, it's battle damage. Right? It's worn, it's beaten, it's broken up.
It's immersive, though.
Yeah, it looks. It looks
Czyli
authentic.
część po prostu rzeczy mają jakby z drukarek, a część mają...
Handmade'ów.
Tak, handmade'ów.
There's foam, so the armor over here is foam. The power armor is foam. EVA foam. Classic. Yeah, there's leather work in the holster, and a lot of it comes down to just over years of building.
To poczekaj, ten power armor, jak myślisz, na drukarce był robiony?
To use what works, and that's
Tak, ja to zrozumiałem.
that's probably one of the hardest things itself. Is a lot of the times you'll get an idea in your head. Your ideas will outstrip your skill, and then you've got to build up your skill a little bit to be able to then turn your ideas into a reality. And that's the fun part of it. That's the journey.
Yeah.
You know, it'd be boring if you just had idea, I made it next.
For sure. And you're not just like creating and you have in the past created the models very much based on what you see in Fallout, but a lot of the times, because you have created so much different stuff, you're experimenting and do something fun, like, you know, with the donut, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's just fun. I mean, the Slocum, to me, the Slocum's Joe is it's a very, very fun element in the Fallout universe. Really, it's one of the few companies that's in the Fallout universe that didn't do something underhanded. It was a fun company that sold overpriced.
Ale fajną koszulkę też z sarenkama, nie?
Tak, tam z tyłu jest...
Flaga, no widziałem.
No.
It was good. So it's little
Ty,
things
ale
like
zobacz,
that
że tam w tle
where you think, okay, if I'm gonna do
to
something,
żółte to jest stanowisko do pancerzy wspomaganych.
Pomaganego, tak, też zrobiłem.
I na tym stoi ten pancerz.
How can I try to make things unique?
To by nam się w 76 przydało, ale budżetu by żarło, a żarło.
No.
There's the beauty of having a look at
Ale wiesz co, powiem ci szczerze, że to już nawet nie jest taki, wiesz, normalny cosplay, nie? Tylko to już jest po prostu, kurde, robienie... To jest, jak on powiedział, to jest hobby, nie? Jego. On sobie odtwarza wszystko z gry, nie?
Jackson walk in the room, I'm looking, I'm like, my nose is that far from the screen going, is that green or is... Jackson, have a look at this, is that...
Calls me out.
Yeah.
Calls me out.
U nas Cyperian robi w Polsce takie fajne cosplaye, nie tylko falloutowe. Pozdrawiam serdecznie.
Ja również.
Maxona fajnego zrobił.
Tak, świetnego Maxona.
1:1 moim zdaniem, nie?
Tak.
I mean, I've been playing video games my whole life, pretty much. Like, I've been a gamer my whole life. And who here didn't look at a game and say that'd be cool to have something from the game?
All the time, Doug. All the bloody time.
Well, you're living that dream.
Sekundka.
It is, and look, it's something where I can take the power.
Raz, dwa, trzy, próba mikrofonu.
Dziękuję. Słychać, przynajmniej u mnie.
Raz, dwa, trzy, próba mikrofonu. Arek, słychać mnie na YouTubie.
Trying to take game physics and turn them into real life.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing because you'll have power armor. Now, one of the first power armors I ever built was for you guys, and it was the first time I really challenged myself. And the challenge of it was, how do you make the power armor stick to the body?
Właśnie, jak oni to zamontowali? Ten power armor do ciała.
It was a really tough one, and finished it. I did the conventional way of strapping everything to the chest piece and everything hung off.
Jak myślisz, Jeżeli?
And it wasn't until after that that I
Znaczy, on to właśnie opowiada, że właśnie jak to przełożyć na fizykę, nie? Manewrowość, nie? Wiesz, ciała, że to wszystko miało zgrane. Właśnie mówił, nie? Że się opierał na zbrojach
Średniowiecznych?
Nie średniowiecznych, nie. Kurde, to się u nas...
Zgliczowane rękawice.
Jak ten, na rowerach jeździsz, Boże, downhillowo, chyba downhill to się nazywa, nie jestem pewien, to masz na sobie taką zbroję, że w przypadku upadku czy coś, to ci się nic nie stanie. I to właśnie na ten, pod tym względem. I myślę, że to jest tak samo oparte, wiesz, na tym, że to jest zbroja, nie, downhillowa, bo tam masz normalnie twoje rękawice, wszystko masz, nie, całą klatę, głowę możesz mieć, wszystko.
Zgliczowana
na to jest po prostu, na to jest nakładane.
Zgliczowana rękawica to jest inna rękawica, w grze takiej skórki nie mamy, to jest z pączkiem z Locum Joe na końcu.
No.
Się śmieje, damska edycja.
Up in Queensland there, I would workshop.
Zabije ci śmiechem. Dodatkowa gwiazdka, taka wiesz. Zabija śmiechem.
Nie, zabija ciebie, ale już nie jesteś głodny.
Wyjął z defrumu. O, Yuri widzę do ciebie przyszedł, Jeżeli.
Cześć.
Report him.
And that was around the time I'd made you a Warhammer, wasn't it? Yeah, a big Warhammer. And it was the whole, when Jackson was walking in it, it was the clomping with the feet.
Yeah.
And again, the engineering side took over. And what I did, I developed so with this is one of the boots.
So that's,
to jest but taki duży do tego?
Holding right now. That is the boot from one of the power armors you've created. That's how big they are. They are
pretty big, okay? So
ale to się ciężko musi w tym chodzić. Nie?
Another power arm.
Masakra.
Znaczy, właśnie w porównaniu do tego, to będzie, to ten jest mały power armor, ten jest właśnie kolejny, to będzie ogromny i masywny.
Oh wow.
So now you can run in these things.
No właśnie, on stoi o wiele wyżej.
No bo tak przeważnie jest, jak było porównanie, że widzisz, że tak dotąd do oczu było, nie? Tego mema kojarzysz?
Tak, kojarzę właśnie, nie?
Niech ubiorą go, ja jestem ciekaw, nie?
O, to by było dobre.
Duracella
Yuri mają na pewno, spokojnie, dadzą radę.
To też tak myślę, nie?
In the shoes, in the boots themselves, so you're only standing around about 200 mil off the deck.
Yeah.
But with where the placement of the boots are, you can run, and it's comfortable. And now from there, if you wanted to, you can take that into an evolution of attaching a frame to the leg. So now you've got the power armor frame that you can put pneumatic rods into. So similar to what you use on a fly screen door, you can use pneumatic rods to provide joints into the power armor frame. And this is, to me, this is the beauty of taking something of like an engineering background and applying it to cosplay. So I think because my dad I started when I was about 5 years old.
Swoją drogą z chęcią bym zobaczył cały taki cosplay Dead Cluba, wiesz? Jak ktoś tak na miejscu...
Dead Cluba byłby zajebiste.
And taking that and applying it to cosplay, that's a massive boost, that is. It's a really big boost.
Mi się osobiście cosplaye podobają na przykład Piper, o.
For sure, someone in the chat
Fajnie.
was like, can I just have a power armor, please?
O, zakładać będą.
And honestly, like, that is a good stage to mention what you are doing on your Instagram account, because I want to make sure that we highlight it on your Instagram account at 5nov Creations. If you haven't been noticing, the name tags have been popping up every now and again for you to double check. But what are you doing on your Instagram account when it comes to your power armor helmets?
So the power armor helmets, so these 6 that are at the back here at the moment, what I'm doing, there's a charity auction I'm running on my Instagram page. So each one of those helmets, you can go to my Instagram page, 5nov Creations, place a bid on there, and if you win, so it's going to be 6 p.m. Monday, the 10th of August.
August.
So on August,
Czyli po prostu za wspieranie tamtych można dostać też hełm od niego.
My
Zajebiście.
time sense and everything has gone out the window. Go on.
Wspieranie tych akcji charity, nie?
So they'll close off at 6 p.m. on Monday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, and whoever wins, I will ship that out to you. All you have to do is
No właśnie, pokażcie
one of the
bliżej
charities that's
właśnie.
listed on each helmet. So there's 3 helmets are for direct relief and 3 helmets are for 4 paws. So one for the humans and one for the animals.
That's really cool. And like, and if you don't know, like, those are the charities that, you know, we have partnered as part of QuakeCon at home. So it's very cool, Doug, that you've done that, and the fact that, you know, those of you that are watching in chat right now have the chance to actually get one of those power armor helmets.
And while we're on those power helmets, oh, sorry, Doug, I was interrupting, wasn't I? Quick one. On the topic of those power armor helmets, do you mind if we can have a look at one? I know you've got an amazing setup there. Can we have a look
Z początku mikrofonu nie włączyłem chyba.
I just want to show around the painting. It's amazing. Like, they are. I know we've got one in the office.
O, różowa posypka.
Oh yes, the donut one is the winner for me.
How awesome is that?
They are stunning. Like, they just look so good. Like, how long does it take to paint something like that? Do you have to pull everything apart as well, or how does that work?
To już jak samochody lakierowali chyba, co?
Coś takiego.
The way that I paint them's evolved so much.
Momencik, słuchajcie.
O, dobrze, bot uwodzi Reja mówi, nie bądź fajka, zostaw lajka.
Very flat colors in the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn so much about paint. I mean, to think, like, a few years ago, when I wanted paint, I went...
Coś mi się z kamerką stało, twoją znowu.
Some paint off there, and then I had to start learning about enamel and acrylic. I had to learn about the temperatures to be able to dry, and it was really tough.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because obviously things didn't turn out as well as they used to, and people go, "Wow, look at that!" And you go, "Yeah, battle damage, that's good," but it wasn't up to scratch. So then, with these ones now, deconstruct them, sand them back with about an 800 grit, and then I prime it with a plastic primer to be able to get some adhesion on it.
Yeah.
And then it's an acrylic spray paint. So I use a base color, and then on that base color, I'll use the airbrush to start building up either metallic colors or translucents. And with the translucent colors, I'm adding pigments to it to be able to get these really crisp. So with the Slocums, the pink there, it's
Ja też bym tego tak nie umiał.
Over a fluoro pink.
Czego?
It's just trial and error.
A nie, wiesz, jak to malowanie, wiesz, tego wszystkiego, nie?
No.
Nie, ja nie mam takiej cierpliwości.
working at
Okay,
night time.
wow.
To jak z modelarstwem, nie? Moim zdaniem troszeczkę.
Tak.
Yeah, because you can't. I mean, the funny thing was when I first started doing, I got really anxious, and I was like, "Oh, I want to move to the next bit," and I'd grab the helmet, and they're like, "Oh, it's a fingerprint. No," and I'd have to send it back.
Oh my gosh.
So now it's a matter of you lay your coats down, you make sure that you put them in a relatively warmish place there. You sit there and you let them dry, and you're like this. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on,
See, I'm bad. I don't have the patience. The paint would just be running. It would be still like sticky to touch. I'd be so bad. Like I've tried painting things, but these just take the cake, and you can see it like in the final product. It looks amazing.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So everyone's got the ability to own one of those helmets there. So it's all going to charity. I'm paying for the shipping for it, so it doesn't cost you any more. So all the money.
Ale świetnie, że można to u nich wytegować, nie?
Directly to
Tak.
charity, and that's what we.
Fajny motyw.
Wspierając charity.
We don't want there to be a barrier of entry for people
For sure.
to actually think they've got to pay for more.
A te charytatywne organizacje trzeba niestety wspierać. Niestety, to trzeba wspierać.
And
Bo dzieje się
there's
źle.
something that I wanted to also mention as well, because you're giving away these power armor helmets, but that's a consistent theme with what you do with a lot of the stuff that you create. Like, you're not hoarding all of it for yourself. I mean, to be honest, you'd run out of space eventually. But like your mentality here with what you create is clear. You're giving away most of the stuff that you create.
No sobie go później po live chyba wygooglują, że pooglądać sobie.
Ja chyba to samo. On Instagrama też ma, na Instagramie go chyba obserwującego mu dam.
Na Twitchu na pewno ma.
Graczem
ma na YouTubie.
Jednak Twitch za granicą popularniejszy, nie?
Go to my Instagram account, follow the account, and usually about once a month or so. At the start of the pandemic, I did one every week there to keep people really engaged.
Yeah.
And the idea of a pay it forward is that you nominate somebody who's been a really positive influence in your life. The unsung heroes, the people that go out and they do things to help other people because it's the right thing to do. And a lot of these people who are the
Ale ten koleś jaki dobrym mówcą jest, cały czas ten gestykuluje, nie?
Tak, no wiesz co, jak już prowadzisz kanał, to też, wiesz, nas widać tylko, wiesz, głowę, nie, ewentualnie tam, wiesz, wyżej, nie mamy co gestykulować za bardzo.
Możemy, ty zobacz! Albo tam klikamy lajka.
If you win, I send them. So this for QuakeCon, I'm doing a pay it forward for this custom Pip-Boy, which is in the Slogan Joe colours, and also the PR Fist. So go follow, nominate someone, and if you win, your person who is the most epic, legendary Wastelander will receive this in the mail, and with a little golden note that says that you are special and you are respected and people love you, and this is your prize. So rock on.
Honestly, man, that I just wanted you to share that because I think that's really cool, and you've even given us personally at the office one of the, I think it was the Sunset Sarsaparilla helmet that you provided with the Pip-Boy and that golden tip. I remember
Pip-Boya też daje, nie?
You just reminded me, so thanks for that.
No, sorry, I think we've given away probably twice as much as what's listed behind.
Ja tutaj troszeczkę kamerki przysunę. To zobaczycie sobie, ile uzbierali teraz na tym charity. A nie ma, teraz zniknął licznik.
11 332 dolce i 13 centów.
And it's just when he can. It's not something that's expected. It's just, look, if you can make somebody.
Myślę, że 2 dychy lekko docisną do jutra wieczora. 2-3 dychy.
Też już tak wydaje.
Even just for a moment.
O, patrz pana śmierci.
Just forget about what's happening outside the doors there. And just take a moment to understand that there are people out there that love you, they respect you, and they want you to know that what you do, it's seen, it's understood, and it's loved.
Absolutely.
Best sentiment. Absolutely.
Kim, I know you have another question to ask him. You were listening
I'm
before
really,
to me.
I'm really bad. I'm just looking at all the stuff in the background, and I'm just like, because I don't want to get super close to my screen, because then I get super close to my mic. Can I have a look at some of the weapons? Like I'm a big, like, I love painting and like collectibles. Any of the weapons that you can show me, like, oh my goodness. I just saw this gigantic battle axe come out. Okay, cool.
Hey, Grognak's axe. This was a cool one, and the cool story about this was when I was first starting to make some of these larger weapons.
Yeah.
Ta rękawica jest spoko, nie?
Rękawica zajebista.
Ale zmodowana z trzecim szponem.
Put them onto Photoshop, and I'd zoom, I'd enhance the size of them, and I'd choose something as a reference point. So in this case, it was the handle. So I knew that this 40mm pipe is what I was going to do. So in Photoshop, I increased the size of the picture till the handle was 40mm, and then I printed it out with like about 10 A4 pieces that I put out, and I had a paper axe, which I then laid down onto a piece of foam, and I cut it out and just ground it up and shaved it up. So that was a cool one.
Jackson's there is holding the Deathclaw gauntlet. That is insane. That looks so good.
Dude, that's one of my favorites, the Deathclaw gauntlet. It was,
absolutely.
That looks phenomenal.
Czy maskę założyć?
That was 19 and it's about 6 layers of paint in there and a couple of different washes just to get that bone effect. The Old Faithful.
Yeah, absolutely. That is cool, man.
And my flamer up at this side. This is probably one of my favourite weapons. So I made this one out of scrap. There was all the things that were sitting around the garage here, and I don't know if you can see the tip of the flamer there. That's a Fuse iced tea bottle. And the funny thing is, you don't know that until somebody tells you that is a Fuse iced tea.
Czekaj, ten miotacz ognia działa?
Oh, is it actually? So you literally found stuff around your house, and I can create a full-on flame out of this.
100%. It was just all stuff that I had just lying around the garage, like the actual drum itself. That was one of the.
Protein.
No, that was the pump.
Oh yeah, that was the poison.
The spray bottle poison
spray
pump.
bottle poison pump.
That's incredible. So pretty much anybody could make their garage and their recycling bin and just put stuff together. Like, I mean, I assume, like, I mean, that's a start, right?
Well, I mean, that's the beautiful part about it. If anyone, it's probably a good segue there to say, if anyone wants to start doing this stuff, they can start at something small. And I think one of the things I used to do was I used to sit there and I used to gauge what I was building and what I was outputting with some of these absolute professional cosplayers. Especially like in Australia, you've got Henchwench, you've got Alter 4 for cosplay. Hey, look, it's that cosplay. And some of the stuff they were doing, it would blow your mind. You go,
błędy się zdarzają.
And then you'd make something and you look and go, oh, that's terrible. And that was the worst thing you could have done, because the only person that you ever need to try to gauge yourself against is the person that you were yesterday.
Yeah.
That's all.
Awesome.
You know, there's nobody else out there. And I mean, I'm a lot older in construction for decades, and I started using hand tools when I was about 4 or 5 years old. And I'm looking at some of these young people, teenagers. All they've got is a Stanley knife and some floor mats from Bunnings. And they make the most incredible armor and costume stuff, you know? It's like, I mean, like, what advice would you have, bro?
Just start small. Don't be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Failing. There's no such thing as failing.
It's just learning.
You know? I mean, a couple of things, like my biggest passions in life is my family is number one. Being a father, is the greatest thing on the planet. It's the greatest job I could have ever hoped and wished and dreamed for. So being a father, my family is like number one. And jiu-jitsu. Love jiu-jitsu. I've rolled for over a decade now. And one of the things that I learned from that, which I was able to apply from this, is there's no such thing as losing, only learning.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be able to take what you did and.
Oh wow.
I mean, honestly, I've failed more times than I can count, but I don't see it as failing. Like, I haven't failed 1,000 times because I've never failed. I've just learned how not to do something 1,000 different ways.
Yeah.
Okay? That's the best way you can look at things, and it's tough as well because you want to be able to progress your skills really, really quickly.
Dobrzy są.
And say, okay, that's one way not to do it. I will not do that again.
A ty znowu poszedłeś niżej, kurczę.
Part of that as well is hand tool safe. I mean, I think every single cosplayer has a cut on their hand.
Uciekam ci.
Absolutely.
Where they've slipped, you know.
From a solder.
Yeah, of course, naturally.
Hot glue gun.
Hot
Remember that one?
arrow. No, for me it was the arrow, putting the arrows together for the green arrow.
Hello,
I was doing a hot
Slavix.
glue gun. I was trying to hold a piece together,
Cześć,
and the
Slavix.
hot glue dripped out, and it landed on my leg. But it was that point in time where your brain goes, now if I let go of this, it's going
No niestety
to fall
tutaj
apart and I'm gonna have to stay.
Pokaleczyć się można dosyć przy kraftowaniu tego wszystkiego, nie?
But at least I'll be able to get the
Jakieś
hot
kółko
glue.
sobie zrobić, albo chociaż spawarką nawet odprysk czy coś, bo tu spawanych też pełno rzeczy, ten stak na przykład na panterze wspomagane, myślę, że ten miotacz ognia też te rury, wszystko spawane było w ten czy inny sposób.
I mean, that's dedication.
Ale to wiesz co, nawet do tego mówił gorący klej, nie? Też miałem, dostałem kiedyś właśnie gorącego kleju i ała, to boli.
No boli.
Up and here's me by myself late at night, my legs cooked, and you couldn't scream, wake people up.
That is a good point. I mean, I do want to ask though, especially with all of the injuries and all of the hardships that you've gone just creating some of this stuff. You said before that one of your favorite weapons was the flamer there. What is like the most favorite? Your favorite thing that you've created out of anything, like, and it doesn't even have to necessarily be from the Fallout universe, but if it is, that's made that you can look back on and say, you know, I'm really actually proud of that one.
Ale oni też mają takie opóźnienia, widzę w transmisji, bo tak oni sami w sobie klatkują, nie?
Yes, but also
Czasami wodzirej.
Nie, w sensie jakim?
W sensie, że ci community managerowie działają dobrze, a oni czasami mają taki przeskok.
yeah, that was. I love that one as well because
Ja tego tak nie
that
odczuwam.
one was another one where I took a picture of a mini.
Ja mam licznik klatek w okularach.
Basically printed it out and I was
Jak Stark ma, wiesz, te systemy różne.
Tak.
And then I started hunting around for shapes, and that was a lot of what I would do was like you'd go to like a $2 shop and you'd look for shapes.
Ale myślałem, że będzie ktoś jeszcze zaproszony, powiem szczerze.
Ja też myślę, że oni będą, wiesz, pokażą się ubrani w to wszystko, ale to w sumie interview, no to tak bardziej oni opowiadają o tym wszystkim, nie?
No.
Turn that into this, and that's a cool shape there.
Oh yeah, I'm sure everyone looks at a glitter bottle and think, what weapon can I make out of this?
I'm gonna tell you, I mean, like you walk through places like Bunnings and you go, I could tie that to that. That could look like a ripper there.
A to ile czasu samo takie krawcenie takiego cosplayu schodzi? To szacun dla nich wielki, nie?
No.
Pick something up and just
Ale to jest pasja, wiesz, to już jest...
together, and next thing you know, you've got a weaponverse. But
Tak, Slavix, jesteś jedynym moderatorem tu.
One of my favorite things I ever built was it was
A co tu się wyprawia? Tu się wyprawia, że streamujemy z naszym polskim komentarzem wszystko to, co się dzieje na QuakeConie związanego z Falloutem. Teraz mamy cosplaya akurat. Tak nie za bardzo chcemy się im wtrącać, bo ciekawe rzeczy oni mówią, dlatego tak staramy się nie mówić. Od czasu do czasu dorzucić komentarz.
That sounds ridiculous, Doug.
Sounds amazing. I think it's.
Ale fajnie, że jesteś.
It was pretty epic, you know. But I was in the Oscon Championships in cosplay.
To Slavix, wstawaj, zjedz śniadanko.
I mean, there was over 50 kilos of weight above my head, and I was able to walk out a few steps, and I had this massive chain cannon on one arm and a chain fist on the other, and they all the launches went up and down, and I was like in pain. I was in so much pain.
Ty, ale jak ma jedną taką rękawicę, to może ma drugą, to ten cosplay już po na śmierci to byłby spoko.
No, a lot of pain.
If my character was pain, yes, then I was nailing it.
A smacznego, Alcatraz.
Yeah, just absolutely no.
Smacznego.
I was sweating bullets and No, that wasn't me in character. That was just me in a lot of pain. So
Yeah.
this is a nice size power armor to wear. Yeah, look, it's fun. It's keeping it fun, but also when you start building things that big, you can't store them anywhere.
Yeah.
You honestly, you just have to get rid of them. Yeah, you know. But this is a good amount. This is a good amount.
A fajnie, że
Is it a good amount?
dzieciaka wziął do tej
Or
zajawki,
could we
nie?
go more, Kim? Could we
Tak,
go more?
tak. On
think we could
też
go
opowiada tam właśnie o swoim ojcu, że właśnie go uczył właśnie takich właśnie majsterkowania takich rzeczy, nie? Czyli robienie coś z niczego.
No ja mam 2 córki, nie pomajsterkujemy sobie. Chyba.
No to dlaczego?
I'm going to keep making stuff and just it'll all get given away through my pay it forwards on Instagram. So yeah, that's.
Swoją drogą, Reju, kupujemy Quake'a 2.
My dad always talked
Tak.
about if you had the, then you help.
For sure.
And in this instance here, I've got some skills. And
Chyba nie
I've
będzie
been able
lagował.
to, get a lot of advice from a lot of people in the cosplay community and prop building community. You've got some amazing prop builders out there that are so awesome with their knowledge. They want to share it. Over in New Zealand, R31 Studios puts out tutorials every week. You know, so if you go looking, you'll find people that are out there that they're trying to support the community and foster the next generation of builders and cosplayers who can take their imagination and turn it into a reality.
Yeah. And I think it's great that a lot of the names that you've mentioned, and, you know, Scrap Shop Props is one, Hey Look It's Cosplay Guy is one, like, a lot of them are from Australia and New Zealand. It's really cool just to know how much talent there is down under.
Oh, 100%. I mean, they're not just great builders, they're what I class.
Właśnie to, co powiedział, jest bardzo ważne i bardzo mądrą rzeczą, że tam te community sobie bardzo pomaga, tak? I tu jest taki mój własny prywatny apel do może polskiego community, może zamiast się rozpadać, to może połączcie się i sobie bardziej pomagajcie, bo to wyjdziecie z tego silniejsi niż jak będziecie działać w pojedynkę, bo to jest bez sensu.
No tak troszkę.
Naprawdę, tam niesnacki odłóżcie na bok i kto tam komu, nie wiem, zabił królówkę czy coś tam, bo nie ma sensu.
That people are willing to be able to share and help each other. So we get people like Jackson coming through, and he can start learning how to build his own props. It's just like it's just turning your imagination into reality, and that's in this day and age. Just for an instance, there's nothing wrong with it. You know?
Absolutely.
With a smile on your face, it's great.
Yeah.
I'd rather have something from my imagination into reality, just to take my mind off the reality that is 2020.
Co, bo to jest szybciej.
2020. Like, you've created all of these cool cosplayers, and it's unfortunate that, you know, there isn't an event like QuakeCon or like PAX Australia that we hold to be able to show this off, because it's such a cool moment, especially when you get to see a power armor in person, to actually appreciate the fine level of detail and the level of work that goes into creating something as amazing like that. So I do want to see if we can touch onto this topic just a touch a little more. Like, let's say, you know, you're someone out there, maybe you're a bit younger, and you want to start creating some of the really cool stuff that you have behind you. What would you say are the first steps? Like, what should people be doing if they do want to start creating, you know, cool creations from the Fallout universe, or indeed any game that they
Jakieś rady na początek, dla początkujących cosplayerów, nie?
Tak, to właśnie, co zrobić małego, nie? Na przykład, no, kapsel.
Yeah.
Choose a bottle cap, because I mean, especially when you're starting off, you want small victories build up your confidence.
Yeah.
You know? Especially with Fallout, a bottle cap, okay? And things like, when I say do a bottle cap, you can get a W bag of just the homebrew
A
bottle
propos
caps.
kapsli,
You can get a spray can.
mam ponad 300 już.
You can then make
Ja się szykuję.
a decal
Do 2077 jeszcze trochę.
And you cut it out, you stick it on, you...
Myślę, że uzbierasz, wiesz, na jakąś fajną broń.
Albo jakiś
And then you've
blueprint.
got your first ever prop. And from that, scaffold. Build on that, and then choose the next one. You don't need to have.
Psa wystraszyłeś.
Tak, przepraszam.
It's great to be able to aspire up to those things, but you don't have access to those sort of tools, then you build with the means with what you've got. And like I said before, there's some of the most incredible things that people do just to stand in life, and some floor mats. You know, so my advice is to start small. Choose something really small, more items, and then learn and establish your hand tool skills. Okay, hand tools. Learning about hand tools is key, because then that's the basis for your entire craft. I was lucky that I've got a trade behind me, and I've done an apprenticeship 20 years ago as an electrician, and then as an electrical engineer, and it allowed me to be able to use.
Wróciłem, przepraszam.
Spoko.
Well, you could take building something in an industrial, commercial sense and scale it back to leather, fabric, wood, metal. Doesn't really matter. Like,
Z drukarki co zrobił?
What is he pulling out?
Some leather.
Even just a holster. Yeah.
Oh, incredible!
So the holster with a sequoia.
Whoa,
Yeah.
That is freaking awesome.
that's pretty cool.
So that's for our biggest fans out there. Ranger Sequoia.
Fajny prochowiec,
and stuff like
fajny.
that I was able to emboss in the NCR Ranger symbol into that, and I did that from watching YouTube videos. So that's another place to go. YouTube. Go
O,
Lots of tutorials on there.
That is the coolest thing. You've just given me flashback memories to holding the Sequoia.
And then you've got a
Pipe
handmade.
pistol.
Again, it's all this one.
pokazali tego grubasa tam z tyłu, to też było fajnie.
A to widziałem na internetach często tak właśnie, że tego grubasa robią, bo to jest łatwo zrobić, bo to jest tak na zasadzie procy, tak?
Tak.
Wiadomo, bez pocisku nuklearnego, nie?
O,
Akurat jeżeli chodzi o na przykład pipe revolver, pipe pistol, pipe rifle, to akurat te rzeczy się tak moim zdaniem prościej kraftuje niż na przykład laserowy pistolet, nie?
Oh
tak,
my
czy
God,
na
you
przykład,
actually
wiesz,
nailed it.
ogólnie
Albo ten-
Power Armora.
Albo Alien Blaster nawet.
No, albo Alien Buster, to jest też...
The Nuka-Cola
yes.
gun.
Very nice.
First Zapper. You know, there's a lot of different there's a lot of different weapons there that you can do 3D prints of, and then
Yeah.
from those 3D prints, then you can start to learn about prepping the 3D prints, sanding it back, sanding. Whenever you do 3D printing, you just got lots of sanding. You know, it's and it all comes down to the preparation of your base before you start laying on your colors. So these are the sort of things that you can do just to be able to start to establish your skills there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I wish I could start and create stuff like that, but I know it's not going to happen. It's like anytime
Też
I
bym
try
chciał
and get,
zacząć
like a tool and some materials,
cosplayerować,
it's
ale
not going to turn out like it is with you in the background there, Doug. So,
Znaczy, ja nie mam też takich umiejętności, nie jestem takim...
Nauczyłbyś się.
I want to ask you, looking back on like, what's the first thing that you made that when you look back on, you think, wow,
Jaka
I've actually
pierwsza
come a
rzecz,
really
jaką
long
stworzył
way,
ciekawe?
you know, from where I was then, not because of anything else, but more because you were just beginning. But you know, what was the first thing that you made, and what was the last big thing you made? I'm curious.
Well, the last big thing I made would have been probably the armor, the Deathclaw shoulder piece, because that's shoulder armor. So the Deathclaw head itself, that actually sits up on your shoulder, straps around the body.
Yeah.
First things I would have been the shish kebab. Yeah. Especially
That was the first thing you made.
Yeah.
So
That
good.
was, it's funny though, 09. I mean, I like to call it a 7-9. It looks good from 100 yards away, you know. But up close, you can see it's all you know. There's a tap, and there's sprinkler fittings on there, and there's garden watering system on there. But it looks good from 100 yards away. And that's one of the things that I've sort of been trying to work with is go from that 7-iron down to that museum quality, fine detail. And again, it was just a matter of just building my skills up of learning different mediums, learning about different preparations, learning about paints, learning about airbrushing. Airbrushing was a massive one for me to learn. And oh goodness, I failed so many times with that thing that it's using the wrong paint. I put it like this. I put acrylic paint in the airbrush and it gummed the whole thing up. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Yeah, you don't put this paint in. You actually got to use airbrush. You got to thin it down.
No to też tak jak mówicie, nie jest łatwą sztuką to pistoletem malować, nie? Trzeba mieć łapę wprawioną, jednak doświadczenia troszeczkę, żeby tego z docieków nie porobić wszystkiego, nie?
Zauważ, że live im się ściął, a głos leciał dalej.
Wings on for a cosplay that I did back when I was like 17 years old, and I was like, oh, it hasn't dried, and it went straight
tylko my mamy techniczne problemy.
When I was wearing the jacket, and I was like, no one else.
A to właśnie uroki kręcenia na żywo, tak?
No way.
Tak,
że tego nie wytniesz.
I'm not telling you what cosplay it was because
tutaj nie da się zrobić pauzy i nagrać coś jeszcze raz, no.
Okay, quick segue, because I mean, I've just talked about a little costume horror that I had when I was younger, which I never gonna speak of.
Na nagraniach takie coś, które może...
Ty, ale oni są cały czas ścięci, nie?
And there's always like, the cosplay like first aid station, and they've got spots, where
Oni
people
tak,
can help each other,
aczkolwiek
and that's always
komentatorzy
really awesome.
nie.
Do you have a story or any kind of moments that you've experienced where your costume has malfunctioned?
Yes.
O, i teraz już...
He had the mini nuke. And it was all day, it was working really well, and then all of a sudden...
No jedyne co w takim momencie możesz zrobić, nie, no to... No właśnie, nie, no zaraz wrócimy, no tak jak było to wczoraj z...
Siemanko, Slavix, witam. U mnie.
Z tą laseczką, że też tam był lag, nie?
Sekundeczka.
No i takie jest życie, no słuchajcie, to nie przewidzimy. Ja na przykład mam problem z zbyt ostrym światłem z tyłu, patrzcie, moje ręki nie widać, to jest tak jakbym kurde nie miał ręki, nie? Patrzcie, to jest chore, nie? I nic z tym nie zrobię, czyli jestem w stanie zrobić, tylko no... Rolety wykosztowały ze 3000 zł, nie? Zewnętrzne, które by nie przepuszczały światła, a przepuszczałyby powietrze. Ale no niestety to są uroki internetu. Oni chyba byli połączeni też rodzajem czy się jak na Discordzie, jak ja z Dworkopem.
No już jestem, widzę, że na samą końcówkę.
Nie, to przerwa jest z racji uciekającego internetu, wiesz, i teraz go łapią.
No, to właśnie uroki na żywo. Może być wszystko w porządku, a tutaj, tak jak u mnie czasami, u mnie przeloguje czasami u Wodzireja, czasami coś się nie złapie, to jest przecież niezależne wszystko od nas, nie? Jakby nie było. Swoją drogą, bardzo fajną robotę chłopaki tam robią. Mi się podoba to na przykład, że dzieciaka swojego wciągnął w to wszystko, nie? Że jednak z synem to robi, go tam uczy, więc no nie oszukujmy się, on facet nie był taki najmłodszy, nie miał 15 lat, tak? Czy tam 20. I fajnie, że sznurowadłem połączeni. No i fajnie, że właśnie to przekazuje tą zajawkę, tak? Bo już będzie mieć młody jakiś warsztat i dzięki temu z czasem, jak ojciec nie będzie mógł, to będzie lepsze to wszystko wykonywał, moim zdaniem. No i zawsze to ciekawsze spędzanie czasu z dzieckiem, tak? Kreatywne. To niektórzy lubią z dziećmi malować, inni lubią spawać. Pancerze wspomagane, o. Czekamy, zobaczymy co tutaj. Jak coś, a propos naszego dzisiejszego... Wrócili? Okej, to nie gadam.
Ty masz dobre 2 minuty, jesteś do tyłu, nie?
To może... O, u mnie już wrócili.
Alrighty, we're back. Sorry. Internet tech issues. It happens. We're...
Ja sobie też może odświeżę przez ten czas.
To ja u ciebie nie będę mówił.
Reklama.
our stream over to you for a few hours. Just be sure to park it on the proper side of the road when you return it to us.
Co on pranie robi? Deathloop w tle leci. Oni wrócą jeszcze, czy nie? Jak to Wodzire jest?
Nie. Już nie wracają. Z tego co wiem. Tylko teraz będzie chyba właśnie 10 minut reklam i już startują tam. Dalej
ESO.
będą lecieć.
Kolejny punkt programu u nich jest ESO.
Tak. Mi się, wiesz co, bardzo to podobało ogólnie. Nie wiem,
Mi
jak
tak
tobie.
samo.
Coś innego. Żałuję, że nie weszli w ten Power Armor. No,
byłem
ale...
ciekaw, myślałem, że wejdę. Tam też było nawet wspominane.
Tak.
Że...
Na czatach
Dawaj.
pisali też, wiesz?
Dawaj, nie to, że cię podkręca, a on potrzymaj mi piwo.
No, nie, no, to by było naprawdę super zjawiskowe.
O, Arcane. Dobra, na chwilę obecną my będziemy się powoli urywać.
Tak, ja idę jeszcze dosłownie pół godzinki zrobię, jak ktoś chce, może się dołączyć do Fallouta, pochodzenia sobie po apalachach, porobienia głupot. Jeśli ktoś ma ochotę, to dawać, ja będę na kanale u mnie na Discordzie, na gadalni.
Ja jak coś. Wracamy tutaj, na pewno będzie już o 17:00 kreatywne budowanie kampów. Później będzie 18:30, na dzisiaj jest budowanie camp by Dworkop.elo, czyli będę pokazywać swoje nagrania swoich kampów, bo nie wszyscy widzieli, nie mieli okazji. Są u mnie na kanale. Będzie można sobie samemu też zobaczyć, a my, Wodzirej będzie aktywnie komentować, co mu się podoba, co nie, jakie może rozwiązania, może coś sam podpatrzy, może nie wszystkie oglądał. Wątpię, żeby wszystkie oglądał.
Nie ma szans, tego za dużo było, nie ma szans, więc dobrze, że robisz to, wiesz, po prostu w jednym tym, nie?
Zrobię taki showcase, taki przeważnie taki pokaz kampu 4 do 5 minut trwa. Wyłączę swój głos, żeby nie było. Ciut w tle dam, bo na niektórych komentowałem. I będziemy oceniać. Fajnie by było, jakbyście też się udzielili. No a potem o godzinie 21:00 u nas, na konsoli przynajmniej, ja będę mieć Splaya 4 z ekipą będę grać od 21:00 do zobaczymy której.
Ja tak samo na PC-cie.
Będę streamować, ten stream będzie tylko na Twitchu, także zapraszam na Twitcha, na mój kanał, żeby być. W dniu jutrzejszym ja to zapiszę i wyląduję to na YouTube. Także będziecie mogli też zobaczyć na YouTubie. No i co, jutro o 11:00 łowcy dzikich bestii. Polowanie z Dworkop.elo i Wodzirej. Czyli będziemy chodzić po random encounterach, szukać nowego szpona tutaj dla kolegi, bo jego się troszeczkę spalił, zjarał. It's broken now.
It's broken now. Very hard broken.
A potem o 17:45 zapraszam was na pokaz kampów konkursowych. Tak jak było wspomniane na oficjalnym fanpage'u Fallouta, będę z Łosiem, z Lechem prezentować kampy, które wygrały nasz konkurs tegoroczny. Swoją drogą w tym momencie jest konkurs na Facebooku, możecie jeszcze napisać swój komentarz. Jedną rzecz osobistą, jaką byście wzięli z sobą do krypty. Opisać dlaczego i jaka to rzecz i napisać swój nick z BTSD.net. A potem podczas streamu będzie kolejne pytanie konkursowe dodatkowe i wyłonieni będą zwycięzcy. Między innymi do wygrania Fallout First, abonament oraz poduszki voltbojowe. A więc warto wziąć sobie udział. A z mojej strony na chwilę obecną to będzie wszystko. Dzięki, że mnie oglądaliście. Pamiętajcie, łapka w górę u mnie, u Wodzireja. To dla nas ważne, motywuje do dalszego działania. Jak dużo łapek będzie, w przyszłym roku odbędzie się E3, to my weźmiemy udział. A co będziemy sobie żałować?
Live'a? Jak mam ściszyć live'a, to wy możecie ściszyć live'a.
Możesz ściszyć live'a, ściszasz te okienko, które jest w tle, wiesz? Wchodzisz na full screena i tam jest głośnik i tam to ściszasz. Przy samym końcu dopiero jest różnica, ja to samo ściszyłem u siebie.
A, no i właśnie, nie do mnie, bo ja tutaj mam poziomy głośności, ja cały czas to obserwuję i to jest niemożliwe, żeby wam to przebijało jakoś mega. Dobra, Dworko, ja ci bardzo serdecznie dziękuję za dzisiejszy poranek
dotychczasowy.
QuakeCon at home. Pogotowaliśmy, pozwiedzaliśmy.
Pozwiedzaliśmy rano, kto nie widział ten, oglądaliśmy kampy, które zostały w Australii i Nowej Zelandii wybrane na konkursie kampowym. 3 kampy były przedstawione, zdjęcia, sesja z tych kampów, także coś ciekawego.
Tak.
A na
Możecie
dzisiaj,
sobie zobaczyć.
na chwilę obecną to tyle.
No, trzymaj ta się i na razie.
Na razionko.